Hi everyone, welcome to the very first testing challenge. The first testing challenge is on web testing. What to do? Identify all the tests required for a scenario below. Based on the data you input in the field name field, the test will be evaluated. What not to test for? Different browsers, extremely big requests, nasty words, browser zoom in, zoom out. Do not use automation tool. The server will cut access at over 30 requests per second per IP. The specification that is given is the user has to fill in the required data in order to get access as a standard user in a form. Only the first name field can be tested right now. The field has a max length of 30. So when we start the testing of a text field in the specification, there are two things that is given, that there is some kind of access related thing which is required for the standard user to fill it. And the second is the field has a max length of 30. So as we can see, a country, email, and last name is disabled. Only whatever you can type and do is in the first name field. So before we start and go ahead with the testing, we'll note down the things. We'll note down all the things. So testing a text field, what are the possibilities that can be done? So the first is boundary testing. Why boundary testing? As we can see, it is given the max length is 30. If the max length is 30, there should be some kind of boundary to do it. Boundary can be less than 30. You can add a value called 29 here. Equal to 30 and more than 30. You can add 31. And single char, which is 1. Because it is 0 to 30, then the 0 is nothing but 1 character that we put. The second thing that we can talk about is the scenario testing. What are the different scenarios that can be used for testing? So in scenario testing, you will test with no spaces character, spaces at beginning, space at middle, and space at end. Once you're done with scenario testing, we can try security testing here. Security testing, you can do SQL injections and cross-site scripting. We can also add HTML tag in the fields. Not exactly security testing. You can consider HTML tags in scenario testing as well, but we have written it security testing. Then we'll do domain testing. In domain testing, you add character other than alphabets. Non-ASCII value. Okay. Then the next will be the DevTools. DevTools can also be included with the tech thing. The topics can be you try with cookies, exploit with cookies, see something is there in the cookies. Then in the HTML DOM, you can check the view page source if you can find anything is missing in resource, you can check that. And you also check the network if you can find anything in the network. So this is the basic things that we will check in the text field. We need to find 18 possibilities. Okay. And there can be many more possibilities to test a text field, but we need to find the 18 which to crack this challenge. And I miss one thing, that is nothing but permission. As in the specification, it is given that the user has to fill the required data in order to get access as a standard user in a forum. So there should be something related to the access to the user, as it is the hint that is given here. So something related to permission. Okay. So let's start testing. The first is boundary testing. So starting with the first test in boundary testing, which is less than 30. So I'll use an extension called counter string. It is a Chrome add-on or Edge add-on as well. Just click on it. I'll write 29 characters. I'll click on OK and I'll click on submit. So the two test was done with this average value and other characters and alphabet. Since when I was using counter string and I added a value here, so it uses a star. Star is nothing but any character other than string, star and number. So the other test is I'll use 30 character. It says it is a max value. Then again I'll write 31 character here, the length, and I'll click on submit. I got the fourth check, which is more than max values. I'll enter a single character. I'll click on submit. So minimum value. So that was about the boundary testing that we did. The next is we'll start with scenario testing. I type nothing. I click on submit with empty value. I click space. I write the first name. I click on submit. Space at the beginning. I write my name. I enter a space in the middle. I click on submit. Space in the middle. Same way, I write my name and I add a space at the end. Spaces at the end. So that was all about the scenario testing that we did. Now moving to the security testing part. SQL injection. SQL injection is nothing but inserting a query. I'll write an insert statement. Insert into table where first name equal to showing. Just this is a dummy query. I'll try and submit. It says basic SQL injection. But when you are doing SQL injection, this is a dummy query. You should ideally write the exact script of SQL injection. The next is cross-site scripting. Insert a script. In the field and click on submit. So when I typed the script, the basics cross-site scripting attack was done, and also I used the HTML tag. So we did the security testing part here. Now let's move to the domain testing. In the domain testing, the first part was already done when I use the counter string to enter the max value. Now I will use the non-ASCII value. I added the value here. I click on submit. I got the non-ASCII check as well. Let's move ahead and view the. So this is the page source. When I go to the page source, I'll just go to the bottom and see. Add this value in the first name to validate you have viewed the page source. So I'll copy this value. I'll go to the tab and click on submit. So it shows you looked at the page source. Now let's go back to the page source. In the beginning, it is if there is a missing resource, add its name in the extension to the first name. So this is a resource, this is a resource. If I click on this, I got a source value. I click on style, I got some value. I click on grid, I got something. And when I click on contact CSS, I got something. But when I click on details overview now, it says 404. So the resource not found. So I'll type the name of the CSS. I'll click on submit. I found the missing resource. I'll inspect the page. I'll go to the network and I'll click on submit. From here also we can get the missing resource part from the network tab as well. So here is the cookie. It says you have checked the cookie. Add this value in the first name field to mark this case. So I'll click on submit and I looked at the cookies. So in the dev tag, we saw the cookies, we saw the view page, we saw the resource, and we are at the network tab. And we go to the payload and we find something called user ID. This is related to the permission thing. So I go back to the element, I'll search this and I'll do the DOM manipulation and I'll edit the value from 0 to 1. I'll click on enter and I'll type Shoaib and I'll click on submit and you made the user admin. Perfect. So we have done 17 checks till now. And one check that we missed here is just add space. So if I add just space and I'll click on submit, we are done. So thank you for watching the testing challenge with me. See you next time.